My job is now to keep you awake after you've had lunch. So talk about culture, a little bit about ours, and a little bit about what people think about culture in Silicon Valley. Most people think of culture as maybe this in Silicon Valley, or free food, or playing games. And we do have a lot of that stuff in Silicon Valley, but that's not really culture. Those are nice perks that you offer your employees. They're helpful for recruiting, but that's not culture. I think culture is something that you have to really work hard at and you have to build. It's not an accident. It actually needs to be part of everything you do when you're running a company. And it's not about, oh, we want to have a nice, happy place to work. That's not what this is about. It's about creating the right team to go out and execute on the vision that you have for the company. So we're SurveyMonkey. We survey people. We did a survey. What do people want? What do employees want in their work environment? They want a hands-on approach. They want a voice in the process. They want to feel valued, and they want to feel like what they're doing is actually really contributing to the success of the company. That stuff, that's sort of basic sort of things, but that's what came through as we surveyed people. I think those things sound easy, but I wanted to talk today about some practical things that we think about that you guys can use as you're building your culture and your team. And everybody's culture is different, every team is different, so I don't think that it's necessarily applicable, but I'll sort of generalize them a little bit. So first off, you got to hire the right people. And yes, gratuitous shot of monkey here, but you've got to hire the right people because that's where everything starts. And so when I think about hiring the right people for SurveyMonkey, I think about it in a couple different ways. First of all, I had this view when I started SurveyMonkey 5.5 years ago. We had 12 people. Today we have 450. So I knew we were going to get a lot bigger. I needed people I could hire then into senior roles who could scale as the company grew, but also could deal with the fact that they had to do everything themselves in the beginning, and that was going to happen for a few years. So I looked for people who had a combination of both startup or small company experience, but had also worked at scale in large companies. So for example, my president and CTO, Selena Tabakawala, started Evite when she was at Stanford in her dorm room, and so she had the startup experience, but had been running product engineering for Ticketmaster internationally before I hired her. And similar things with a lot of people that we hired. We looked for that set of skills. I think the second thing was finding people that you can trust. And I do this through what I call real reference checks. I don't mean the reference checks that people give you, hey, call these 3 people. Those are useless. Of course, those people are going to say good things about them. No, I mean real reference checks. Everybody that I hired in the beginning, and I still, for most senior level hires, we do this. I want a real reference checks. I want someone I know, or someone who's 1 degree separated from me who knows, who's going to tell me the truth about that person. And really, are they going to fit in? Are they going to work well? Is this the right job for them? And that way, I'm not guessing. I'm getting real information from somebody that I trust, or somebody 1 degree removed from me trusts. So that's part one. You got to hire the right people. If you don't hire the right people, all the other stuff with culture doesn't work. The second part is you got to build the right team. And don't put this team on the field, but I think this is the right analogy for building a team. It is much like a sports team. And so if you'll pardon the sports analogies, I think they make sense here. First of all, you don't want everybody playing the same position. You need people who are good at lots of different things, and they may not be good at everything. You don't need a team where everybody's trying to be good at everything. You actually need a team where people have different strengths, and you get the right group of strengths all together that you get things good at. So the way I think about it is, I think about what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and then I try and hire people who are good at the things I'm not good at. And they may not be good at what I'm good at, but that's okay, it balances out. That's what I think about building the right team. The second part of this is to think about draft picks and free agents. And again, sorry for the American sports analogies, but I think they work universally. You need the right mixture of experience and sort of talent. And so in a startup, you think, oh my God, I need someone who's done this before, who's done sales, who's done engineering, and all those kind of things. And that's true, and oftentimes at the beginning of a startup, hiring experience is what matters. And hiring people who don't know what they're doing can really cost you. But as you get a little bit bigger, you want to have a balance. You want to have a mixture of those people who have experience and some of that raw talent. People who are unshaped or unmolded, but have a lot of intellectual horsepower, a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of capabilities. And you want to mix them together with the experienced people. You want the veterans to train those newbies, if you will. And if you get it right, you've got this right mixture of those people, then those inexperienced but highly talented people, but without the skills, become very skilled. And they become your best purveyors of your culture. Those people have grown up inside your organization. You've taken them. Our head of business intelligence and growth is a woman named Elena Verna. We hired her. She was 2 years out of college, working a statistics job at Safeway. And she was hired onto a team. It was just her originally. Now we have, that team is about 18 people in total. But she kind of grew up, she was trained by us, she learned how to do things, and she just we were able to keep giving her more and more and more, and her growth curve just accelerated, and now she runs a team of 18 people 4.5 years later. That's the kind of internal talent development that you want to do, but she would never have gotten there had she not had someone she was working for who had a lot more experience than she did. So you need the right mix of people on the team to make those things work, but you do need to think about building up that talent base. Some of the best people I've hired in the past have come from, banking or consulting and had no experience. My friend Kerry Trainer, who runs Vimeo, I hired him. He was 2 years out of college working at an investment bank, and over time he got product and business development experience and eventually could become someone who could run a business like Vimeo. Lastly, we have a no assholes rule at SurveyMonkey. And no asses, if you'd like to be totally correct here. But this is the hardest one, actually. A lot of people will say, well, that guy is really a jerk, but he's super talented and we need him because we're not going to be able to get stuff done without him. And that is true sometimes for a while, and it is really hard to get rid of somebody who's really good at what they do, but is kind of difficult to work with or a jerk. But I have found that those people become corrosive inside the organization. They destroy all the good things you're doing about your culture. They beat back. They incite people to question, whether the company really cares about them. Why are they allowing this guy to be a jerk? Why are they allowing that behavior to exist? And unfortunately, this is not something sports teams are good at. They actually do allow a lot of this. But in a company, you can't allow it. And I do think actually some of the best teams and the best companies, one of the things they do pretty rigorously is they evaluate the talent they have, and they make sure that those people not only are performing, which is important, and you can't keep people who aren't performing, but that they have people who really buy into the culture and understand what it means. If you don't like to be called a monkey, you shouldn't come work at SurveyMonkey. If you're going to make fun of that and everyone else who calls themselves monkeys at SurveyMonkey, people are going to think you're kind of a jerk. If you continually do that, that's just not going to be part of what makes for a successful culture. So lastly, just to sort of throw in the sales pitch here, how do you check if this is working, if you're building a good culture? Well, we would ask you to measure it. It's very easy. It's free or very inexpensive to use SurveyMonkey. You can write an employee survey of your own. You can use our templates that we have built. And you can see how you're doing in building a great culture and a great team. And you should do it on a regular basis, not just once a year, but on a fairly regular basis. Ask your team how you're doing on these things. How do you measure up? Track it over time. It's really simple. It's really easy. It doesn't cost anything. And you can really get a sense of how you're doing with your team. I think culture is really important. I think it doesn't get talked about enough. I think we get it lost in those perks conversations, but it's really about building the right team and having the right incentives for that team to be successful. Thank you.